Well, here's a myth you probably believe about abortion, that it is sometimes necessary in order to save a mother's life. Here's the truth. We've conflated terminating a pregnancy with terminating a child. Terminating a pregnancy and having an abortion are two different things. An emergency C-section is an actual form of terminating a pregnancy, and there are scenarios in which this practice is necessary to save the life of the mother. Tragically, there are occasions when this practice happens before viability. I should probably clarify present viability, because what was viable 50 years ago is not what's viable today. We're constantly making developments that allow us to protect children's lives earlier and earlier. The fact is, we're at a point where there is never a scenario where we have to kill the child in utero before delivering their body. And that's ultimately what you're saying is necessary if you say abortion is necessary to save a mother's life. You're saying you have to kill the child in utero before delivering their body in order to save the mother. What you have to do is end the pregnancy. That's a very different process. Now, sometimes after a miscarriage, there does need to be a procedure in which the uterus is cleared out. That is referred to by some people as an abortion. And I think the technical name for the procedure does include the word abortion. But let's be really clear. There is not a life that is ended in this procedure. We're not opposed to that. We're not opposed to actual health care. We're opposed to death care, quite frankly. That's what abortion actually is. Now, I understand there's also the issue of ectopic pregnancies, and that's a huge hang-up for a lot of people. But let's be clear on what the three solutions are. Yes, one of them is a form of abortion in which you starve the child by giving it a chemical that prevents it from eating. When you starve it out of nutrients, it can't grow and will die. But there are two other solutions, which are the more appropriate solutions the vast majority of the time. One is just watching and waiting, because the child already can't get nutrients from the wall of the fallopian tube. The child is most likely going to die of natural causes, and it's a tragedy that we aren't able to save it where it is. If the child is grown enough to where it's going to burst the fallopian tube, even despite that situation, then you do have the option of removing the fallopian tube itself. You probably won't be able to save the child, and again, that is a tragedy. But there's never a scenario in which you have to go out of your way to kill the child. That is not a real set of circumstances. And that actually debunks the other myth that we hear so often, that abortion is healthcare. No, it's not. Abortion never improves the health of the mother, and it only removes any and all health that the child would otherwise have.